too.
I like making new adventures.
Make it interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah. In spite of Walpole, it was all right. There you go. We did all the work. Him and Patrick, though.
All right. Welcome to the township meeting. It is 6:33. I'm calling the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just want to let everyone know that Vince Manuel is away, so he will not be joining us tonight. I'm going to turn over the show to Fran with the announcements, please.
The show. Thanks, JC. Some announcements for tonight. First of all, thanks to all the residents that came out to celebrate Township Day on Saturday, April 26, 2025. Special thanks to Tom Blumstrom and our Parks and Recreation team for managing this event, along with all the volunteers, sponsors, and emergency services personnel for their involvement in the day. Law Enforcement Week begins on Sunday, May 11th, 2025. The Board of Supervisors would like to take this time to thank all of our police officers for their dedication to serve the residents of Whitemarsh Township. Primary Election Day is May 20th, 2025. Be sure you get out to vote. The township offices will be closed on Monday, May 26, 2025, to observe the Memorial Day holiday. And finally, the Whitemarsh Township Board of Supervisors would like to wish all the moms a happy Mother's Day this Sunday. Most of us will be at the Truist Golf event in Whitemarsh, celebrating along with our mothers and special significant others. Thank you.
Thanks, Fran. Do I have a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from the Board of Supervisors meeting from April 10th? So moved. Second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving down to board public discussion items. Review of SLD 08-24, proposed lot consolidation of 404 Pennsylvania Avenue and 401 Bethlehem Pike, Fort Washington, for Mercedes Automotive Dealership. Charlie.
Thank you. This is a very simple proposal. A little over 10 years ago, Mercedes purchased a second property, got some relief from the zoning hearing board to do what they wanted to do with the property, and it was predicated on the combined parcel. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, it just never happened. The parcels never got combined. We discovered it about 6 months ago, and they started working on this plan to put the two together. There's no development proposed. It's just really erasing a line on the county maps. And I'm going to turn it over to John Iannozzi. I need to get the PowerPoint up so he can show it to you and just give you a brief explanation. I just want to mention that the Planning Commission reviewed this at their March meeting, and they recommended approval of the waivers necessary for this and the plan itself. Give me 1 second, John.
Sure, take your time.
Should be ready to go.
Okay. Good evening, John Iannozzi here for the applicant. As you heard from Charlie, the application before you tonight is very straightforward. Essentially, what we're doing is removing the line between the old Luke Oil site and the existing Mercedes site. make one parcel. But what we're really excited about is during this process, my client has worked with Fort Washington Rescape Committee to put significant landscaping along Pennsylvania Avenue. We went in front of the shade tree and they loved the idea, so they gave us a thumbs up. Planning Commission gave us a thumbs up. We are in receipt of all the review letters. The majority of those items are will comply. Now you'll see a list of waivers. There's a lot of waivers, but it's a technicality because when you do a merger, you technically have to ask for all the waivers from the mother parcel that was previously given. So that's why you see the long list of waivers. This is the aerial of the property. If I can get this working right. You'll see the Luke Oil site is the upper left-hand corner. That is being merged into the mother parcel. And that's the landscape I'm talking about. Technically, with the lot line removal, there's no landscape requirements, but it was the right thing to do because we really think it frames the gateway of Pennsylvania Avenue. And so we want to thank the Rescape Committee. We also want to thank township staff working with us, and we're excited about it. Be happy to answer any questions. Be happy to go through those waivers if you would like, but again, they're just a housekeeping issue there.
Is there any board comment or questions? Any public comment? Is there anyone online?
We do have people online.
Just check the chat to see.
At this point, no one has a question.
All right. I was at the Shade Tree Committee meeting, and I saw how happy they were. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was great. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2025-11, a conditional preliminary and final minor subdivision approval for a lot consolidation of 404 Pennsylvania Avenue and 401 Bethlehem Pike to create one single lot of 4.01 acres for PM CPA Real Estate LLP as presented by the proposed Mercedes Automotive Dealership lot consolidation plan?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. McAnally, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Tureen?
Yes.
Ms. Moy?
Yes.
Mr. McCusker?
Yes.
Chair Toll?
Yes.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Moving on to review of SLD 02-25, land development waiver request for Philadelphia Cricket Club at 6025 West Valley Green Road. Charlie.
Thank you. This is on a site that's very well known to all of us this week at the Philadelphia Cricket Club. They are doing a golf performance center and some improvements to the driving range, and you'll hear that this is going to piggyback on after the tournament's over and everything is cleaned out. They want to move right into this and get this done by fall. I will let Brian Conlon from Langen Engineering explain the proposal. I just want to mention again, this also went to the Planning Commission in April, and the Planning Commission endorsed the land development waiver, and it is conditioned, would be conditioned on a earth disturbance or grading permit because there's a lot of dirt being moved around.
Thank you, Charlie. Good evening, everyone. Again, Brian Conlon with Langen Engineering, and I am the civil engineer for the project. Carrie Patel is with the Philly Cricket Club, and she's the project manager helping work on this project. I got it. I do want to mention Dan Mearsman, who's there in the middle, who's like a celebrity now with the tie on. Dan's the Chief Planning Officer and Director of Grounds and Facilities at the club. He wished he could be here tonight. Obviously, he's got a big event going on over there. He wanted to thank everyone working with Charlie through the process until we get here tonight's meeting. This is, 124. This is an aerial of the site. Again, the overall, to the left is the Militia Hill course. To the right is the Wissahickon course, which is the subject of our application and also where the tournament is. And again, why we're asking for a waiver of land development, you can kind of see the project is highlighted in the box. That's the driving range for the course, and it's kind of centrally located. It's not near any neighbors or things like that, so we don't anticipate any disruption of things of that nature. This is a blow-up of that area. Again, that's the driving range, and what they're doing, the main thing is they're adding a performance center, which is, if you go to the top of the page, that's a building like the white area. It's about a 10,000 square foot golf performance center, a training facility, if you will. That's at the upper half of the range. And they're actually stretching the range out as well. You see, with some new cart paths that they're extending for the performance center and for the range. Again, people are hitting the ball further, so they're kind of keeping up with technology and things like that. So they're stretching the course and they're stretching the range. And with that, they're going to be doing some regrading, which will be seen on my. This is basically a grading plan from our engineering drawings, where they're kind of reshaping it. Again, it's the same location, just new tees, new bunkers, new targets, and with that new building on the top. I do want to mention, with the new building, there is new impervious coverage. And if you see on the bottom right of that page, that kind of a cross-hatched area, that's where we're proposing a subsurface stormwater basin to accommodate the new impervious coverage for the site. This is the top range where that performance center is going. This just shows the existing sheds that are there today that are basically being replaced. They're used for some training facilities. And this is a concept, not final, but that's what the new building is anticipated to look like. Again, it obviously will help for weather conditions. They can practice indoors. You can see the open bays that can hit out to the range. A nice little courtyard on the top there. Again, that's about a 10,000 square foot facility. The timeline Charlie mentioned, again, they've been very strategic about this. As you see now in May, the tour is there, the Truist Championship. They'll be out of here next week. And then through May, June into July, there's a lot of restoration that'll be going on, all that equipment, all that stuff getting out. So they're trying to time this to start in July for the range improvement project, and it's all predicated on getting by November 15th for all the stabilization and the grasses to grow for the season, for the future playing ability of the course. And finally, again, this shows, I do want to mention the folks there. This shows the people there. Again, the cricket club has 17 employees that either have or are pursuing a turf grass management degrees. This is what they do. This is their trade. Again, so this is only 20 acres approximately of the overall 200-acre golf course. So they consider it a small project in their realm. And again, they anticipate to get this done very quickly. And that's it. And we're here tonight, seeking the waiver of our land development approval, and happy to answer any questions.
Is there any board comment or questions? I had no idea until the Shade Tree Committee meeting on Tuesday how much restoration is needed. I hadn't really wrapped my head around all that comes after these kind of events. Is there any public comment? Anybody online?
Nope, no one online. No, with a comment.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2025-12, a waiver of land development for Philadelphia Cricket Club for improvements for their driving range area?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. McAnally, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Moy,
Yes.
Ms. Tureen,
Yes.
Mr. McCusker,
Yes.
Chair Cole.
Yes. So
Thank you,
good.
everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Happy
you.
Mother's
Good luck.
Day, everyone, as well. Enjoy the
Thanks.
tournament.
Thank you. Be there Sunday.
Be there tomorrow.
Will you? Can you get me tickets for Saturday? I'm just kidding.
Do I have a motion to award a planning consultant contract to assist in updating the current Whitemarsh zoning ordinance to Montgomery County Planning Commission for a 3-year contract totaling $54,516?
So moved.
Second.
Does
I think I'm doing it.
Charlie.
Charlie?
Yeah.
Is this Charlie?
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
We've had some discussions with some consultants in order to keep going on our update of a zoning ordinance. As you've heard us say before, there's a long list. And we interviewed 3 consultant groups. 2 were private consultant groups, and 1 was Montgomery County Planning Commission that has a community planning division, which does basically performs consulting for local communities. They have about 35 contracts around the county. So they're very active. It's been a growing operation. I ran it a long time ago, and we had 26 contracts, and we thought that was wonderful. And now they have 35 plus 4 regional contracts, so there are a lot of planners involved. In any event, after interviewing all 3, they were all very qualified. We felt that there were some very distinct advantages to contracting with Montgomery County for a planning assistance contract. One of which is the wealth of knowledge that we can tap into. We will be assigned a senior level community planner, but if we have issues that go beyond what he's working on, they have 30-plus planners in all various fields that can help us. If we have a transportation planning issue or environmental issue, they have people there that we can tap as part of this contract. The individual that would be assigned to our contract would also be the same person that writes the development reviews and would know the township better and be able to be a little bit more sensitive to what our policies are and what our needs are in terms of those reviews. So that's another advantage. The other advantage, frankly, is the cost. It's about half the price of a private consultant because the county traditionally has always subsidized the program to the tune of 50%. So the $54,000 figure that you mentioned is half of what the total contract would be over a 3-year period. And it would start in July. There would only be one invoice in fiscal 2025, and that would be in October for $8,820, which would be half of the first year. Each year graduates about 3%. You may have seen it if you reviewed the contract. So what we're asking the board to do tonight is approve that contract so we can get started. The manager of the community planning division, as well as our assigned planner, was scheduled to come to our planning commission meeting next Tuesday, but about an hour and a half ago I had to cancel it because we don't have a quorum, so we're in the process of rescheduling. He wants to come to introduce themselves and discuss with the planning commission how they will interact with the planning commission during the course of writing and drafting various zoning amendments. We've given them a preliminary list of our highest priorities, and they're willing to start work on them immediately.
Thank you, Charlie. Is there any board comment or questions? Is there any public comment? Come on up, Steve.
Hi, Steve Kaufman, Harts Ridge Road. I want to make 2 comments. I'm glad this is happening. Certainly the choice is felicitous. And the county not only has a breadth of knowledge and whatnot, they also, in quotes, sort of have a good attitude toward public input, and they have a good set of planning values. I do hope that we can move fairly quickly to to looking at the old cluster ordinance. I think the last version was called OSCO, open space. Was that? Anyway, the ordinance that would kick in when golf courses get developed or large tracts of land. Because what we have now certainly is in need of updating. But I also wanted to read from the update of the comprehensive plan, which I think happened in 2018, 2020, to put this in context, because this contracting and this whole process exists because we adopted an updated comprehensive plan. And I'm just going to read about 3 paragraphs here. It says, Whitemarsh Township recognizes that because we are experiencing a profound climate change that is impacting every facet of our fragile natural ecosystem, our framework of codes and ordinances related to zoning and land development must reflect or be updated to reflect our commitment to protecting natural habitat and otherwise combating the underlying causes and the effects of this change. This selective comprehensive plan update is intended to promote policies that have protecting and promoting a livable and sustainable environment as their primary objective. So that's the background. That's what got the hiring of these various consultants and the zoning rewrite launched. It goes on to say, to achieve this vision, all community stakeholders involved in the land development process must be responsible, ecological stewards of our shared natural resources, acting in concert to protect and enhance our green spaces, to promote water conservation, and to implement sustainable design practices and technologies aimed at mitigating the impacts of climate change. Therefore, Whitemarsh Township commits to protect and preserve presently healthy ecosystems, to restore ailing ecosystems when practical, and to promote net accumulation of healthy habitat on all public and private lands. With these goals in mind and expressed throughout the plan update, Whitemarsh Township will require that all land development applications and related deliberations, 1, place emphasis on minimizing building footprint and impervious coverage and preserving functioning ecosystems. 2, promote the use of stormwater basins and other stormwater management systems that contain functioning ecosystems. And 3, focus on maximizing environmental health. And I guess I would just add to this that since 2018 and 2020, obviously our storms have gotten worse, our droughts have gotten worse, and the situation in Washington is certainly not very encouraging. And Whitemarsh, along with anybody else who cares about the environment, should lean in on anything it can do to protect our township of some 18 square miles. So I hope that the supervisors and the planning commission lay this mandate, that we conduct this process so that there's good public input, but that one of the underlying goals be to strengthen our zoning code from an environmental protection perspective.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Is there any online? Craig?
Nothing online.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to cancel the 4th of July parade for safety considerations per the recommendation by emergency management and staff?
So moved.
Second.
I'd like to start by just reading a statement, which will be posted online starting tomorrow afternoon. As members of the Board of Supervisors, we sometimes have to make decisions when we wish there were better choices. This next decision falls into that category. We are canceling our annual 4th of July parade. We came to this point after hearing from township staff, our police department, and our emergency management office. In light of recent events, they had conducted a thorough review of safety at the parade, including vehicle control, and concluded that holding the event presented an unnecessary risk to the community. We thank them for their time and expertise. Safety is and always will be our top priority. That is not a cliche here in Whitemarsh. We say it and we mean it. Trust me when I tell you that we appreciate the tradition of the parade. As I said, we wish there was a better choice. In this case, we don't believe there is. We hope parade fans will understand why we made this decision and find other ways to celebrate with family and friends on July 4th. Is
Yes.
Chief
The chief is stuck at the golf.
at the golf?
club. He can-
Okay.
He says he's on his way, but he can't get off the course.
If you want to, do you want to add a little, any
yes,
additional information?
So over the past couple months, been speaking with the emergency management folks, Andrew Thomas, the chief of police, Chris Ward, Tom Blumstrom, about the event and how to safely protect the citizens of Whitemarsh Township. In the past, nothing has happened, and we don't anticipate anything happening. However, we can't just go about and think that all the roads are going to be safe by just saying that they're closed. So looking at the resources that we would need and the personnel that we would need, it really does not make sense to move forward with the parade. We can't safely have a parade and have everyone feel safe if we don't do everything that we're looking at for this parade to eliminate any kind of vehicle incursions or anything like that. So, we looked at different ideas and how we can get barricades and borrow barricades. However, the people that have the barricades are actually using them on 4th of July, so they weren't available. So the overall aspect of this is that we think for the safety of the community, it's best to cancel the parade. And we have obviously other events throughout the year that we highlight, and we have, we can do that in a better manner than we can manage this one. So we hope you understand. And like I said, the chief is on board with this. Emergency Management Coordinator Andrew Thomas is on board with this. We Tom Blumstrom reached out to the chair and the vice chair of the 4th of July Parade Committee. They understand. We reached out to the Lions Club, and they support our decision on this. And some have said that they've been thinking about this for a couple of years, and we'll leave it as that. And so we think this is the right decision for the township.
Thank you, Craig. Is there any other board comment or questions?
No, just a hard decision, but safety comes first. And, we value our township community and our family members that make up this community. And so we're going to do what we have to do to maintain the safety and security of Whitemarsh.
Is there any public comment? Any public comment online?
Nothing online. Nothing online.
All right, thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to authorize the retirement and transfer of ownership from Whitemarsh Township to her handling officer, Sergeant Matthew Stadoulis, for Police K-9 Officer Nika, effective May 31st, 2025?
So moved. Second.
Anything else about that?
Just a retirement of the K-9
Yes.
Nika, and we're going to transfer the ownership of Nika from the township to the officer that has been handling her for years.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the replacement of Supervisor Manuel's vacancy board appointed from Patrick Duran to Laura Boyle Nestor?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve a First Amendment deed of easement for 2015 Joshua Road, Lafayette Hill, between the Whitemarsh Township Authority and Whitemarsh Township as presented?
So moved.
Second.
And
Yes,
shall I?
This is simply a change in the easement. This is the salt shed that we've been talking about for years. We're replacing one salt shed with a separate salt shed on a different placement on the site. Going through the permit process, the Whitemarsh Authority owns the parcel. We asked them to submit a building permit, and they suggested there's an easement on here that has to be changed in order for that to happen. This went to their board and their solicitor. They agreed to it, and this is in front of you, this board, to approve it, and this would allow us to put the salt shed down at Public Works Garage.
Thank you, Craig. Is there any board comment or question? Any public comment? Anyone online?
No one online with a question.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the financial transfers within the 2025 budget as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Kevin?
Good evening. So these transfers are for the transfers to bring the police budget up to current wages. Their contract was finally approved in April, I think it was. We went back and did the retro pay for last year, and this went through and looked at all the wages, the chief, myself, and Craig. And these are the budget transfers we need to make the police budget to be correct numbers for 2025, so that when we do 2026 budget, we're not looking at 23 numbers and 26 numbers. We're saying, well, why is there such a big difference? So this will bring us up to exactly what it's supposed to be for 2025. I had budgeted a one line item of contingency. You can see that's where I'm taking most of the money, and I put a little extra in the other health account, and that's why I'm taking the rest out of there. So I kind of budgeted for both years. We weren't sure how we were going to do it. Our auditors did let us charge 2024 back to 2024. We thought we might have to charge 24 and 25 into 25, but we were able to get 24 back to last year. So we'd be good shape.
Thank you. Is there any board comment or question? Is there any public comment? And any online?
No one
Okay.
online.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the April 2025 financial report reflecting total expenditures of $1,309,336.89, payroll totaling $1,052,899.32, and pension plan expenditure of $0?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are now to the public comment portion of our meeting. Sidel.
Good evening, and Sidel Zove, Harts Ridge Road. I have two topics on which I'd like to comment this evening. One is a follow-up on the discussion at last week's Board of Supervisors workshop meeting regarding the plan for the removal and replacement of trees at the Corson Homestead Abolition Hall. There was some discussion about how all of that work would be paid for, and a fellow resident mentioned she actually read portions of Act 153 that govern the use of the collection and use of open space funds, and she said that those funds for maintenance were capped at 25%. And that sent me to the last Open Space Fund financial report, and also sent me to confer with the Open Space Committee Chair, who happens to be Steve Kaufman. And I had assumed that the balance in the Open Space Maintenance Reserve Fund represented that 25%, the maximum that was allowed. But in fact, when I carefully looked at the report and read the fine print, I discovered that contributions to the Open Space Maintenance Reserve Fund were made through 2016, but not since then. And so the Maintenance Reserve Fund of the Open Space Fund stands at just under $1.5 million. However, if the township had been transferring 25% from inception, that maintenance reserve would stand at about $9 million now. And I understand that the township wants to have sufficient funds in the Open Space Fund to quickly move to acquire open space. That's the priority. But I'd like to suggest that the fact that there is only $1.5 million in the reserve fund not inhibit the township as it looks at the 5-year plan that John Hosbach has recommended for the Corson Homestead. That you could easily move a few more $1 million from the fund into the reserve fund, from the overall fund into the reserve fund. And the overall fund at this point is just over $9 million. So there's plenty of wiggle room in there. And I don't know why the township chose to stop making contributions or transfers to the reserve fund in 2016, but clearly you have, the law allows you, and you have the capacity to transfer additional funds into the reserve fund. So my point is, don't let the current balance in that reserve fund limit your vision for the improvement of the grounds, the fields that were acquired with open space money. The second topic I'd like to discuss is one that JCU suggested I bring here tonight, and that concerns 1001 Washington Street, the former David's Bridal property, and the relocation of the floodway line. I know this gets kind of technical, and there's lots of acronyms involved, but at the developer's initiation, and so that he can build as intended and meet the key condition that was imposed by the zoning hearing board, FEMA has issued a letter of map revision called a LOMR, announcing its intention to shift the floodway line closer to the river. LOMR applications require that the local community, Whitemarsh, concur with the developer's findings that such a relocation will cause no harm. Whitemarsh has not signed off on the required concurrence, but FEMA has opted to interpret the township engineer's review letter as meeting the concurrence requirement. And I've been in touch with FEMA throughout this whole LOMR application process, trying to understand it and get good information. And in an email I received on April 8th from a woman named Fatima Abdelwahad, who is an engineer, the Region 3 lead engineer, civil engineer, she writes that the township engineer's letter satisfies FEMA's requirement for community concurrence. I'm disappointed that the township hasn't been more proactive, that the township hasn't considered its comprehensive plan update and all the environmental concerns, those that Steve read into the record this evening, for example, and put a stop to this relocation of the floodway line. Moving the floodway line closer to the river allows this developer or any future developer, should this project not proceed, to build within that floodway or the former floodway without needing waivers and variances from the zoning board. What's especially disappointing is that while the township's Board of Supervisors and Planning Commission and other committees and commissions have embraced the comprehensive plan update and all of the environmental protections and the vision for those, the zoning hearing board apparently has not, and routinely appears to grant variances and make exceptions that allow for development in areas where it should not happen, in my view. Major flooding at this property, the David's Bridal property, has been well documented. The water inundated the David's Bridal property on multiple occasions, including during 2 recent hurricanes. The river flowed across Washington Street, leaving a thick layer of mud, and made its way over the railroad tracks. Property all along the riverfront was destroyed. The empirical evidence was in our faces, yet the developer's data purports to defy this evidence. I'm wondering if the township should re-examine its engineer's review letter and perhaps take different action on this matter indicate that it is not intending to concur because the data flies in the face of the empirical evidence. The appeal period and the comment period runs through July 22nd, and I will likely be submitting comments to Craig, who was, according to the FEMA notice, you were authorized to receive those comments.
That's good. I thought it was Charlie.
No.
Is it me? I'll send it to Charlie.
Specifically regarding the appeal and the comments, I think it's your name that's listed. At any rate, I'm disappointed, I'm disheartened, and I can only hope that during the subdivision and land development review process, this project hits a few snags and cannot move forward. I don't know whether anyone cares to respond, indicate why the township has merely processed. As Charlie said to me, the township is processing the request and not taking a position, but obviously FEMA believes you have taken a position. FEMA has said in writing that it has accepted the township's review letter as the concurrence that's required by the law.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Any online, Craig?
I don't believe so, but I gotta switch pages. Yep, nope.
All right. Is there any other board comment or question? All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Good night, Whitemarsh.